Today we're going to learn about special equations. And before we start, I want you to write down the perfect squares from 1 squared through 15 squared. So go ahead and pause your video and write those numbers. I want you to pause your video again so that you can go ahead and check your answers against these. Now that you've done that, we're going to begin solving equations. So think about what you just wrote down. And what number can you multiply by itself to get 36? And think about that list. And some of you might say, well, the answer is 6. But that would only be half right because there's another number you can multiply by 6 to get to 36. It's also negative 6. And the way we write that is with this symbol, plus or minus. For this next question, I want you to think about what number you can multiply by itself to get to negative 9. This is hard. You can't do it. If you did 3 times 3, you'd get positive 9. If you did negative 3 times negative 3, you'd get positive 9. So this question can't be solved. It's no real solution. Tricky one. So what do you want to look out for? You want to make sure that if it equals a negative number, that you know it can't be done. The next question, just like in a regular equation, if you want to isolate the x squared, you want to get rid of that 6 by dividing by 6. You want to undo the multiplication that's holding the 6 and the x squared together. And then when you get down to x squared equals 4, you're back to something you now know how to do. How many answers are there going to be? Not just one. Don't forget your plus minus sign. Next question. Those pesky math teachers always make it harder. It seems like it's going to be okay, and then we make it harder. I now want you to think about this whole quantity and kind of ignore it for just a moment. And just think about what number you square to get to 25. And you know that either 5 or negative 5 is going to get you there. So we want to ask ourselves, what would turn that whole quantity x plus 3 into a 5, or what would turn that whole quantity into a negative 5? And then solve it like a regular equation. So you subtract 3 from both sides and get 2. Subtract 3 from both sides, and you get negative 8. So those are my 2 answers to that equation. All right, we have 2 questions left. What number can you square to get 0? Only 0. So we ask ourselves, what makes this equal 0? And I can either subtract 6 from both sides or just get the answer in your head. So here's our last question. It gets super hard now because I can't do this in my head. I have to probably do it out. I first stop and think about what squared is 36. And I know it can be 6 or that negative 6. Don't forget that second answer. And so now I ask, what will make 2x minus 1 equal 6? And what will make 2x minus 1 equal a negative 6? And then solve those 2 equations, just like you would back in the old days without any fancy equations. Add 1 to both sides, divide by 2, and you get 7/2. And then do the same thing with your second equation. 2x is negative 5. Whoops. Divide by 2, and you get negative 5/2. Kind of ran out of room there. This one's kind of hard. You can go back, play it again, and watch it again, but I'm going to give you one to do on your own. So pause the video and do that question. And now that you're back, let's see if you got it right. 8/3 and negative 4. If you got it right, go ahead and end the video, and you can do your homework now. Remember, we're around to answer your questions. If you're stuck, just let us know. If you didn't get it right, just stay on the video, and I'm going to show you how to do this question one more time. So again, we look at this quantity and we say what squared is 100. So I know I want this quantity to be 10 or negative 10. And then I'm going to write my two equations. What makes 3x plus 2 turn into a 10? And what makes 3x plus 2 turn into a negative 10? And then you're just going to solve your equation like you always would, getting your x isolated, divide both sides by 3, and you get 8/3. And then this one, when you subtract 2, you get 3x is negative 12. And you might be able to solve that equation in your head, and know that you get negative 4. Again, you can watch it more than once, and sometimes the second or third time it makes a little more sense. But we're here to help if you need it.